How's it going, everybody? My name is Inflameboy, and if you don't know me, I usually run Let's Plays on Elder Scrolls Online. But today I'm doing something completely different. This is sort of the first time I've ever gone into detail on one of my builds, and we are doing a DK Magicka DPS. When I say DPS, I can't test this. I don't have any numbers. I am on the PlayStation 4 edition, which means I don't get all the add-ons like all the PC players do. So I haven't got numbers to back this up, but I needed a build initially when Imperial City come out that could handle PvE really well, and also in those certain circumstances handle PvP. Because that's what Imperial City is all about. And there was nothing out there in terms of Dragonknight Magicka based, so I thought of something myself. So what I'll do is I'll go through all the skills, I'll go through equipment. The equipment is sort of recommended equipment. What I also wanted was a build that wasn't sort of reliant on a certain monster helmet or, you know, certain item that you get dropped from somewhere. I wanted something that everybody could use pretty much as soon as they get to minimum vet 12 probably. So this is it. This is my DK. I am actually a vampire. Vampire is quite an important part of this build, as well as Mage's Guild. So before you start this, you need Mage Guild level 10, and you also need Vampire level 10. The reason I really like Vampire still after the nerf is that Darkstalker is really handy. It means that you don't have to wear the Night Stalker set so that you move around quickly while sneaking. I also like the Undeath and the Supernatural Recovery, but with the new nerf you can only get that when you equip a Vampire ability. Fortunately we do. So let's start from the top. So first of all we have Structured Entropy. Now this has quite a lot of benefits. The first one being it does magic damage over time and it heals you over time. Now the damage isn't great and the heal isn't great, but it's definitely helpful. So the other bonuses that we focus on, it's our main way of getting major sorcery. If you know all about buffs, there's major and there's minor buffs. Major sorcery increases our spell damage by 20% for the duration, which is 14.4 seconds. So we keep that up when we're fighting just to get that extra spell damage. What you also get once you've slotted Entropy is you get max health increased by 8%. Make sure you get the right morph, it's Structured Entropy, to get that max health. Health is really important. If you have it too low, then you're going to die very quickly, especially against siege weapons. The other bonus to having any sort of Mage's Guild ability equipped on your skill bar, I'll just quickly go down to the passives. That increases duration. It's these two. You've got Magicka Controller. So with each Mage Guild ability you have slotted, you gain Max Magicka 2% and Magicka Recovery 2%. That's for each ability that's slotted. So on top of those other buffs, we also get the 2% Max Magicka and 2% Magicka Recovery. I've also got Inner Light. This gives us a 10% spell crit, and it gives us Max Magicka and 5%, but because it's another ability that's slotted, you get the 2% Max Magicka additional, and you get 2% Magicka Recovery. So those two are really important to have on your main bar. Okay, so the next skill we've got on our skill bar, we've just got to go back one, is Flame Lash. Now, Flame Lash is our main attack. Now, I know a lot of people moan about people just whipping all the time. Well, guess what? It is pretty much our only worthwhile skill, damaging-wise, to use on a Magicka Dragonknight. Now, at my current spell power and my current max Magicka, my normal flame damage is 6k. When they go off balance, 7.5, but the heal is massive. It's a 13k heal over 2 seconds. Now, I'm not actually buffed up by Structured Entropy at the moment, but that will be a little bit more. let me just double check my spell damage. 2462. That can go up to 3k, I think, with structured entropy around about there. So it does a lot more, and the heal is really important because we don't really have that many good heals, especially on this build. The next one we got, obviously, is Burning Talons. Always a good one, still a good one, and it's the main skill that we use to knock people off balance with our Flame Lash. So you're using burning Talons, and then you Flame Lashing twice and getting that big heal off the Burning Talons. The last one on my list is Dragonfire Scale, still really good in PvP. This is really important in PvE as well in Imperial City. There's a lot of enemies in Imperial City that cast projectiles, and it's really good to reflect off them. For example, the Wraiths. There's a really good farm spot in Imperial City where there's a load of Wraiths, and they always cast projectiles, and you can reflect them and pretty much kill them in a few hits of their own projectile. So really important in both PvP, PvE. And the ultimate that we have is Devouring Swarm. This is pretty much the reason why I can kill 3 or 4 people in PvP. This does a lot of damage when I'm buffed up, and it heals me for a lot, and it's really cheap when you've got Vampirism stage at 4. So really good ultimate. I prefer this over Meteor because Meteor only heals you for a little bit due to Battle Roar on the passive of the Dragonknight. There's no sustain from it. If I feel like I need to just keep myself up for a bit, I prefer Bat Swarm because it does pretty much maybe more damage because it's an AoE. So okay, so that's the main bar with the dual wield. I'll get into the dual wield in a second. Now we go over to our one-handed shield. Now these skills are a bit more sort of, you can swap them around if you really want to. I have thought about going Resto and also Destro, but I do prefer one-handed shield. We still need one-handed shield for invasion. You can go Resto and use where is it? Stone Giant as your knockdown. But I feel that with proximity detonation, which I'll get into in a second, invasion is a lot better. So the first thing we have is Inner Light, and that's basically so that whenever we swap between the dual wield and the one-handed shield, we don't have to keep recasting Inner Light. It's important to keep your max Magicka up and your crit. So I keep them on both bars. Next up is Green Dragonblood. It's not as good as what it used to be. You used to be able to cast Igneous Shield and then Green Dragonblood, and you can heal yourself up quite substantially. But with the new updates, it's been nerfed a lot with the 50% reduced healing amount and 50% damage shield amount. It's really not worth having Igneous Shield anymore. So Green Dragonblood, I just use that whenever I'm a bit low, and then hopefully get the whip on them. That heals for a lot more. Next up, this ability, sort of, you can swap it in or out. You can have Igneous Shield if you really want to, or you can have something else. The reason I go with Caltrops is basically because of, well, it's basically because of Nightblades. Nightblades are still able to go in and out of stealth whilst hitting you in between, which can get quite annoying. So what I tend to do is I drop Caltrops on the floor, and I'll stay in the Caltrops. That means any Nightblades, they can't stealth, or if they do try and stealth, they break out of it straight away. So I tend to have that. I know the stamina cost is a lot, but when you get more champion points and stuff, your stamina will slowly increase, so it's not too much of a deal. Always try and get Caltrops down at the start of a fight, especially in 1v1s. Next up is this really important, this skill. It's proximity detonation. It's sort of, it's like an oh shit sort of skill for the enemies. It scares people away. So if you drop proximity detonation, it leaves an AoE around you. So when you use invasion and charge into, let's say, 2 or 3 enemies, that AoE will make them panic, and you'll be able to split them up a bit. If they don't split up, then they'll take increased damage for each enemy which are caught within it, up to a maximum of 25%, as you can see there. And it's a really big hitter as well, especially when you got entropy up. It's a really big hitter. It's a really good AoE. It's an instant cast as a proximity death, but it takes 8 seconds to explode. When I say instant cast, the other option, I think it takes a couple of seconds to actually cast it on an enemy, but this is a lot better for us. Invasion is pretty much as self-explained, really. And I've also got Ice Comet. I'm not too sure whether or not to put Devouring Swarm on there as well. Maybe not. Right. Right, so that's all the skills out of the way. Just to give you some sort of idea of the stats that I'm looking at. Now bear in mind I haven't got the equipment that I am after. I'll get into equipment in just a second. Max health is so low. But what I will be doing is getting prismatic enchants and getting health up that way. Because at the moment I've got Magicka enchantments on all of my gear, which is not recommended. So my max Magicka is really high for a DK. Spell damage is with entropy is about 3k. Spell crit 42%. Yeah, that's basically what we're looking at the moment. Obviously max health will go up to 21k in PvP. I'm not currently in PvP at the moment. So equipment. At the moment I am using dual wield Sword of Torug's Pact. Now the reason I go dual wield is because dual wield gets a bonus to spell damage, a lot more than I think Destro staffs. So it's at 2462 at the moment. Let me just sort of just take one off, just a sec. 2462 1986. So if I put I don't know. Oh, that's not even bound. So yeah, it goes up quite a lot. Make sure that you get the passives on dual wield. Don't help that I go straight past it. We don't actually use anything because they're all stamina based. But make sure you get Twin Blade and Blunt, because that increases your spell damage just a little bit more. Yeah, that's the only thing you want from there. Let's pop that back on. So yeah, it goes up to 2462 with dual wield. So I use Torug's Pact, which obviously gives you an extra 129 spell damage. They're both at vet rank 16. They're both gold, which I've upgraded myself. Easily obtainable, easy to craft. Anybody can obtain these. Again, I wanted to create something that doesn't rely on certain equipment. I wanted people to be able to use this build with whatever they've got, and then just work slowly towards obtainable equipment. Torug's Pact, really obtainable. I've used Nirnhound on these, really important, increases your spell resistance and spell penetration. It is quite a large amount, really helps out. I've gone with Fiery Weapon enchant, but I'm not too sure if that's the best. I need to sort of test a little bit more, even though I haven't got numbers, but I'm probably thinking something that restores Magicka or disease. So that's what I'm using for that at the moment. I've still got these old shield and pact sword. That can be of any set you like, really. Anything probably with recovery on it, preferably, to be honest, or max health or resistance or something, because this is just your back burner bar. You're not really going to be on this bar for too long. Next up is I use Bloodspawn, and I swear by Bloodspawn in PvP. It's the best, pretty much. PvE, it might actually go Molag Keener for the extra spell damage, but in PvP, this is probably the best because it adds that physical and spell resistance, and it restores ultimate. It's a really, really good monster helmet and monster shoulder. I do swear by it because currently our physical resistance is really low, and that just boosts it up a little bit more, just so we're not as squishy. And then obviously you get the ultimate as well. At the moment I'm currently using Phoenix, which is just pretty much just gimmicky more than anything. I know it sounds good. To be honest, it is funny when you die and then you come back to life and pop Devouring Swarm on, and then kill people. But it is a bit more of a gimmick than anything. I will explain what we'll be using, what I'm aiming for over anything else. Finally is willpower set. I would recommend going with Magicka Recovery, and slowly as you get, what you want to be aiming for is at least 1500 Magicka Recovery. That's a good target to have. You can run out of Magicka still, I mean, if you're in a really long fight, but being a DK, you can get your Magicka back up using ultimates, so make sure you keep doing that. But 1500 is your target. Now, I had about 1650 something, or almost 1700, so what I did was I put spell damage on the necklace. And what I'll do when I get more recovery is I'll slowly put more spell damage on my other pieces, or reduce Magicka cost. You sort of pick and choose, really. Willpower obviously really good because of the max Magicka and the 186 spell damage. It's a really good set, but it's really expensive. Just make sure if you're buying it, go with Arcane more than anything else. Unless you really are lacking the health, then just get the health one. So let me just show you the set that I'm aiming for. It's an obtainable set by anyone. It would just take a long time. That's the only problem. Okay, so I am currently in the Earth Forge. Now, if you don't know where this is, you need to first complete the Fighters Guild missions before you can access this place, and then you need to go to the last map of your alliance, where you're level 42, 43 sort of, and go to the town into the Fighters Guild, and there should be a portal. And this is the set that I'm aiming for. That should be obtainable by everybody, really. You don't have to get in large trials. You don't have to have 11 other people to get this equipment. Now, granted, there are better equipment than this, but this is a really good one to aim for. So yeah, definitely try and go for this. Obviously, you need 8 traits to craft it, and we do go. I didn't even mention this before. I am currently mostly light armor, but I would recommend going 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. Obviously for the Undaunted passive. When you get to level 9, you get, with all 3, 6% on top of max health, stamina and Magicka for having all 3 pieces. But you'll still get the bonuses of the 5 lights, because all we're really wanting is the spell penetration and the spell critical. Everything else is sort of just a bonus, really. I mean, reduced Magicka cost is nice, and Magicka recovery is nice. But yeah, we were aiming for 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. Obviously, get the medium and the heavy from Bloodspawn if you plan on using Bloodspawn like me, or any other monster helmet or shoulders that you have. So this is the set, and the reason why it's probably one of the best at the moment is because of the spell damage. The spell damage is really high. Now, this is white, remember, so imagine what it'll be when it's yellow, which is what I'm hoping to do. Craft all a 5-piece set in yellow, so it'll be the chest, the legs, the boots, gloves and belt. This is what I'll be, spell damage will probably be about, I don't know, 220, 230, maybe a bit less, to be honest. You also get decreased time to resurrect people by 25%, and you restore Magicka when you successfully resurrect someone. Compared to the Phoenix set, it's got an additional max health bonus, so you will get your health up a little bit by wearing this over Phoenix. Obviously, you just can't die and resurrect like Phoenix every 10 minutes. But yeah, it's more gimmicky than anything. Hopefully, I'll be able to craft it as well in, what do you call it? Exivkin. I can never pronounce that. Exivkin, or whatever. Okay, so that's the equipment that I'm aiming for. Okay, so let's get on to champion points. Now, I don't have a lot because obviously I only played a little bit on PC when it first came out, and I just sort of play whenever I get a chance when I'm not at work. So I guess the easiest to start on is the Mage. Obviously, we're going to go into the Apprentice because that's mostly spell. And the first thing you want to be sort of looking at is Elemental Expert, because our main damage dealer is Flame Lash. To be honest, I know we use Proximity Detonation and we use Entropy, which are magic, not flame, but to be honest, they sort of come really low on what we use in terms of damage. Flame Lash is the main one, and this is what increases it. At the moment, I got it to 27, just for the 10%, but I will be getting it a lot more. Blessed increases effectiveness of any healing, which is I got to 27. For me, I'm really anal. I like things to be sort of rounded off, so I just go with 27 just for 10%. Obviously, we want that because of reduced healing amount that you get in PvP, which also implies to... Who's that? Anyway, that also applies to Imperial City. When you're against NPCs, you have a reduced healing cost, so getting that up brings it back up a little bit, so it does help getting 27 in that. Next up is I'm going to get 27 in Elfborn, just for 10% increased damage when we do criticals. Spell Erosion, I just put 1 point in there just for the 1%. But when we get 27 in there, I'll be putting it all into Elemental Expert, and we'll get that Arcane Well at 120. Next up, the Reds. Right, I went with Block Expertise, but I am thinking of actually maybe changing that to Resistant, because all of my gear has got Impenetrable on it at the moment, because it's the Phoenix set. It's all got Impenetrable. When I change that to Kagranax, I'm going to be crafting the legs and the chest with Infused, and the other pieces with Divines. So I'll be losing that Impenetrable bonus. So I'll be probably changing my Block Expertise over to Resistant, just so I reduce the damage of critical hits again. We still need Phase, which is always nice. After roll dodging, your armor is increased by 660. I just go for the 30s to start, to be honest. Next up, I went over to here and put a lot of my points into Elemental Defender, because we are a vampire. I know it's been decreased from 40% down to 25%, but just putting more in there decreases it even further, now to 15%. And we also get Spell Absorption, which is very nice, and Resilient. But I will be going for Critical Leech and Unchained. Yeah, because they're quite important ones. So what I'll be doing, once I've just done this one, which I'm putting it all into Quick Recovery, which again is more healing. I might put 1 point into Healing Potions and 1 point into Bastion. No, actually no points into Bastion. 1 point into Healing Potions and 29 points, sorry, into Quick Recovery, just to get my healing up a bit further. And we also get Field Position and Infused. Then once I've done all that, I'll be going back over to here and putting everything into Light Armor Focus and getting Critical Leech and Unchained. The reason I'm going Light Armor Focus is, I explained before, my physical resistance is really low and I'm quite squishy against stamina based builds. It's sort of my only weakness at the moment, so getting that up will really help. Next up is the Thief. We're going 27 points in reduced Magicka cost, obviously. 1 point there, 1 point there, 1 point there. Just to, the 1% is the biggest boost you'll probably have, so just putting 1 point in is always helpful. Obviously we're getting Snare and we get Inspiration boost, which is a crafting thing actually, but anyway. And the Lover, I've gone a lot into Arcanist, and I've also gone into Tenacity. This has been reduced slightly. I'm not too sure why. It's not as good as what it used to be. It used to be 10 points, 5%, but it's not anymore. 10 points is now 4%. No idea why they've done that. So yeah, maybe pull back a few points off that and put more in Arcanist, just to get your Magical Recovery up a bit. Put 1 in Mooncarf and 1 in Healthy. Healthy is not so important because you're a vampire and you got reduced health recovery anyway. We get Plentiful Harvest, and you get Synergizer, which gives you more ultimate when you activate Synergy, which is really important. Obviously, Synergy is when you have to push triangle and circle, or if you're on Xbox, Y and B, is it? I don't know, one of them two buttons when you have to activate an ability when somebody uses a synergy, you get more ultimate. So that's really important. I haven't spent any in the shadow, but the next big one I'll be going for is tumbling, because I find we haven't got a lot of stamina. We use caltrops, which uses quite a lot of stamina. Tumbling is really, really important in PvP when you want to break free and dodge roll. So that is one that I need to get up. So hopefully 27 points in there to reduce it by 10%. Hopefully. So that's champion system covered. I know it's a little bit vague because I sort of just go here, there and everywhere. I don't just stick with one, to be honest. I haven't got a lot of champion points. I've only got 205. I mean, if you've got 500, 600, you've got loads to play with there. So obviously the more points you spend, you get more Magicka health and stamina, and you're just overall more powerful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you the little bits of the build in action, just so you can see exactly how it works. Okay, so whilst I look for a battle, I'm just going to go over the miscellaneous stuff that people tend to like to know when it comes to builds and stuff. First one being obviously health, Magicka and stamina. I showed you before. The target you want to be looking for is 20k health in PvE. That's out of Cyrodiil. In Cyrodiil, that needs to be 25k. So obviously I haven't got that at the moment, but I mentioned before I'll be getting prismatic enchants to bring that up. If you still can't get it, then possibly take some points out of Magicka and put them into health, so that you do get the 20k, 25k. The next thing that I use is food. In PvP, like Cyrodiil, I'll use purple food, Vet 15. In PvE, tend to go for blue food, the health and Magicka one. Hold on, there's quite a few yellows here at the moment. Are they all running? I'm not too sure. Lastly is pots. Pots is a little bit more difficult. I have started using these pots. I'll just quickly show you them. I use Essence of Immovability, so I become immune to knockback and disabling effects. So a little bit laggy. So what I tend to do is cast Proximity Detonation, Invasion when it does it. Swap over swords. Entropy, Talons. It's really laggy at the moment. As you saw, Invasion wouldn't go then, and the whip was really slow. But yeah, pretty much 2 hit that guy. Well, maybe 3 hit with the Proximity Detonation as well. Let's try and get somewhere a bit further out, away from the laggy bits. Okay, so the other thing I forgot to mention about Entropy is, as well as the 20% increase of spell damage it does, it also gives you 20% damage for your next attack that you use within a couple of seconds. So I tend to always use Entropy before using my ultimate. If you use Entropy and then ultimate, you get 20% increase on top of all the other bonuses that you get as well. So it looks like Red's charging here, so we're going to join them. Okay, so Entropy, charge, Proximity Detonation, Talons. Make sure to keep closer to them as you do Proximity. Put it on again. Okay, so we've got 2 on us, so we're going to pop Bat Swarm. There's a heal off the Flame Lash. So we're going to charge in. Talons, heal whip, which does more damage, of course. Proximity, Talons, and another heal. Nice and easy. So I don't need to use green dragon blood that much. It just helps when I'm really low and I haven't being able to set people off balance. Sometimes you can struggle with setting Nightblades off balance because they can use Shuffle, which is a medium armor ability, and they can disappear a lot, so it's hard to set them off balance. Okay, so proximity, shield charge, swap over, entropy, talons, and then double whip with the heal. Keep close to them so that they get the full effects of the... Okay, so we got 2 Nightblades. There's... This is the same guy that came for me before. So, knockdown, talons, get a heal, because I'm quite low. The heal's really strong, and we get another heal. So that's what's going to keep us up. Could do with another proximity and a knockdown. There we go. So thank God for Phoenix there. I've also got an ultimate as well now, if I get into trouble. That's obviously from the Bloodspawner's help there, and also Blood Frenzy from the Alliance passives, so I get 10 ultimate per player kill, which can go up to 20 ultimate if you level it up all the way. Oh, it's this guy again. So let's not waste stamina. Why am I still stealthed? So he's not letting me talons at the moment. Okay, Bat Swarm, let's get this Nightblade out of the way. Gonna have to reflect. Keep on the Nightblade. Reflect. Let's get a heal up, and entropy, and proximity detonation. Let's get a knockdown. Oh, it's not letting me knock down. Talons. Let's get a heal. No, it's not letting me. There it is. There's talons. No. Come on, let me have a heal. Come on, one more, one more. Okay. Proximity detonation even. Knockdown, entropy, talons. So he's blocking. That is going to be fixed. You are currently able to block talons at the moment. But that is going to be fixed in the next update, so don't worry about that too much. I want to come across a proper Nightblade so I can show you caltrops, to be honest, and get that included. So is that a player there? It is. So, detonation, entropy, solid invasion, sorry, and your whip. So he's going to go to the NPCs, obviously. And he's blocking all of my talons. There you go. It didn't work too well for him, just blocking. Obviously with this update now you can't just permanently block anymore with the stamina recovery not working. Did I just not talons that? There you go. I was hoping to show you quite easily what this is like in PvP. Problem is it is really laggy, so I do apologise about that. That is obviously down to the PS4 more than anything. Looks like they've took this outpost here, so I don't think we're going to have any more blues coming through here, so probably just going to move on up. Let's get... Oh, he's not there. Okay, get reflect up. Ooh. Ooh. There's a heal. I went a little bit bit soft with that guy then. Didn't get the reflect up as quickly as I should have. But you saw the capability of the heal there with the Flame Lash. Didn't need to use green dragon blood there. Right, that's it for me for now, guys. It's a bit too laggy to be showing you any more. But I hope you try out the build. Hopefully some PC players will be able to get this build up on theirs and actually test the numbers maybe in PvE. Like I say, this isn't for trials. This isn't for like the most DPS, you know, the most damage a second. It is purely for Imperial City PvP. The two intertwined, you know, being able to do both well at the same time. So yeah, that is it. I hope you like this build. Please share it, you know, recommend it to other people if you do. And take care for now, guys.